Hello everybody, I'm Vincent, and today I want to tell you guys about the Senate in 2026 and what I think it's going to look like real soon. Because Donald Trump was elected president in 2024, about three weeks ago, and the Senate was won in that same time period, same time frame, by a rather large margin by Republicans, 53 to 47. You're going to end up seeing what I think will be Republicans holding on to the Senate for the rest of the decade, frankly. Not I would say it's not guaranteed for sure if Republicans have a really bad presidency this time around, but 26 I would say is almost guaranteed for Republicans. And I want to show you guys why I think that. I want to show you guys why every seat's going to pan out the way it's going to, and just give you a really in-depth rundown of what's going to happen. So I want to start with Oregon. I'm going to go west to east. Oregon is a state that's been shifting left for a while. It was a swing state in the 2004 election, for example, but it's much further left now. The senator there, I forget his name, but he's an incumbent that's been serving, I think, for 2 terms at this point. He's running for a third, if I had to guess. And there's no way he's going to lose. I'm going to put it safe blue. There's no chance he's going to lose. On the presidential level, it's a likely lose state, but on the Senate level, definitely solid blue. Alaska is an interesting state because the senator is Lisa Murkowski. She's a moderate senator that is typically a lot more critical of Donald Trump and his allies, so there's a very high chance that if she is being, I guess, annoying or whatever to the MAGA Republicans in the Senate, the majority of them, a primary challenge might be mounted, and because they use ranked choice voting in Alaska, they could lose in Alaska because the Republicans could beat each other out. But I'm gonna assume that's not gonna happen because that's a fringe scenario based on the current data. There's no way she loses. I mean, I would say it's a likely blue or likely red because of her being more of a moderate, and some Republicans might be staying home. But I think the chance of her losing is very low. And then these 3 states, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, are all solid red Senate seats. There's no real chance of a Republican losing in any of these 3 states. They've been Republican, well, not Montana. Montana is similar to Oregon in that it used to be a swingy state, but like Oregon shifting blue really far, Montana shifted red really far. Idaho and Wyoming have been red states for a very long time, though, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Colorado is a solid blue state that has shifted similarly to Oregon, because if you look at the 2000 elections, George W. Bush made a legitimate play for Colorado. Heck, he made a play for California in those elections. But there are some states like Colorado that have shifted a significant amount to the left. Colorado indeed has. New Mexico will be likely blue. That's where I'm going to put it. On the presidential level, it's very close. But on the Senate level, there's just too much incumbency advantage there. It has shifted to the right as Hispanics have moved right. But I don't see New Mexico voting for a Republican for a while. Let's see. South Dakota is pretty much guaranteed red, like Wyoming and Idaho. It has been a red state for a while. It's the home of the Senate Majority Leader John Thune, newly elected, and I don't see him. I don't see them voting blue for a long time. I don't think they're even shifting left. I think that there's a high likelihood they'll be Republican for the next 100 years. Nebraska is solid red. You have the Omaha district that elects Democrats because they use the system where each congressional district votes differently in the presidential election. But for the overall state, it's a solid red, and it will vote for Republicans for sure. Kansas and Oklahoma, same story. And then Texas, it's John Cornyn. So here's what I want you guys to know. The Democrats have been reading into Texas as the state shifting left, and for a long time they were trying to win Texas. After Romney won in Texas by such a large margin, they thought they might be able to flip it around because of how well Hillary Clinton was doing in it. But they tried to do that in 2020 with Biden, and there were some polls saying Biden was going to win Texas. He lost it by 3 points. No, he lost it by 5 points. And then in 24, Harris lost Texas by 13 points, or maybe even 14. It was in that range. So on the presidential level, Texas is not close anymore. On the Senate level, Texas was only close in 24 because Ted Cruz is not very popular, and Colin Allred was popular. John Cornyn does not have that problem. John Cornyn is a very popular senator from Texas. He's very respected, and nobody has the same problems as John Cornyn they have with Ted Cruz. I see John Cornyn winning by a solid margin. I don't see him losing. I don't really see a chance of that. Minnesota, I put it in the same like the blue column as New Mexico. Basically, if you see a state that is kind of close on the presidential level, like Florida or New Mexico, well, not really Florida anymore, but used to be Florida, or Ohio. Yeah, I would say Ohio, Minnesota, New Mexico, Virginia, states that are kind of close, especially like Virginia, Minnesota, and New Mexico, that tend to lean blue normally, are now likely blue on the Senate level because they have the incumbency advantage. In Iowa, you have, I would say, a solid red race, maybe likely red, but I don't really see a scenario where a Democrat wins here. I think Arkansas and Louisiana are really solid. Bill Cassidy is another senator another moderate senator. He's from Louisiana, and I think like Murkowski, he might end up having a primary challenge mounted against him. But unlike Murkowski, they don't use ranked choice voting in Louisiana, so he might end up just getting ousted and a different Republican taking place. I think that someone like Garrett Graves, he's the current representative of, I believe, the 6th district in Louisiana. He has a shot. Also, the Treasury Secretary there has a shot. I'm not sure exactly who will take his place, but there's a good shot of a primary challenge being mounted against him because he voted to impeach Trump the first time around. Or, no, it was the second time around. But yeah, Illinois, solid blue state. There's no chance of a Republican winning there. Kentucky and Tennessee are the same thing as Arkansas and Louisiana, solid red. So is Mississippi and Alabama, for sure. Then you have a couple of the swingier states. I'll go ahead and I'll leave the swingier states in there to go through after we finish. But yeah, you got West Virginia, for sure red. Ohio, I'm going to conservatively put as likely red, because basically if Mike DeWine puts in a good candidate, which I think he will, I think Mike DeWine being a moderate means that he's going to put in a moderate that will be respected enough to put in and to win in 2026. Because in case you're not aware, because J.D. Vance is the vice president-elect, he will leave his seat. DeWine will put someone in to serve 2 years and then try to get reelected in 2026, because that's when J.D. Vance would have finished out his term. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Ohio will be, I don't think it will be close, frankly, but if DeWine makes a bad choice, then it definitely could be. And then Florida will have the same problem. I'm going to put Florida as likely red also for the same reason. I have less confidence in DeSantis than I do in DeWine. Let me just say it like that. Because one name being floated for the Senate seat is Laura Trump, which I think would be a disastrous choice. I think she would have a similar effect that Ted Cruz did and could actually lose her seat re-election. Because while popular with the MAGA base, she is not popular outside of it and has virtually no qualifications for government other than being a RNC co-chair. So if DeSantis decides to nominate her, then there's a serious chance she could lose. But if he doesn't, then anybody else would probably win, which is why I'm putting Florida in the likely red column. Then you've got South Carolina, which is solid red. You've got, and you've got Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Those are all going to be blue states. I would say New Jersey is probably likely blue for the same reason. Virginia also likely blue, because these are the 4 states that have become more competitive blue states. But, Delaware, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts are not going to be competitive. New Hampshire is going to be one of the more competitive states, and as will Maine. So yeah, these are the competitive states. You got Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, New Hampshire, and Maine. And this is what I want y'all to take away from this, right? So, consider the fact that we have narrowed it down to the 5 most competitive states in the country for the Senate seats, and Republicans have the majority, bar none, immediately, without the competitive seats even taken into account. So even if Democrats win all of the competitive seats, they will lose the majority anyway, which is kind of astonishing, I would say. Because, I mean, that just means there's kind of no chance for them in 2026 to get the majority. But we'll go ahead and go through the Senate seats individually anyway. I'm going to start with Michigan. You've got a well-respected senator named Gary Peters from Michigan that I think has a good shot of winning. I'm going to put Michigan in the lean blue column. I would say Gary Peters has a good shot of winning re-election. I don't see him losing. I think that if Republicans put up a really good candidate in Michigan, there's a chance. But I think Michigan's just a little bit bluer than the country as a whole, so I think that that's unlikely. Similarly, I think Tom Tillis of North Carolina has a very high chance of being reelected to his seat. I think that North Carolina is definitely lean red. It voted for Trump a little more closely in 2024 because of Mark Robinson, the gubernatorial candidate there. He brought him down quite a bit. If you haven't seen it, which I wouldn't blame you, the North Carolina governorship was not exactly a race to watch, but he lost his race by 14 percentage points to Josh Stein, the Democrat, even though Trump won North Carolina by 3. So yeah, I could see Tom Tillis winning by in the realm of 2 to 5, something like that. And then the other two seats, Susan Collins is the Republican senator from Maine. I don't see her winning her re-election. I see it being a very slight Democrat victory. I don't see it being as bad as Jon Tester by any means, but it could be like a Bernie Moreno situation, where Bernie Moreno won the seat against Sherrod Brown. But when Tim Sheehy beat Jon Tester, it was a massive blowout. I don't see it being that bad. I see Susan Collins losing by in the realm of 2 to 3. So I'm going to put it as tilt blue because she's a very popular senator from Maine, and Maine has interesting politics. Their governor is a Democrat, but I think they have a Republican senator and an independent senator, Angus King and Susan Collins. But yeah, it could go either way. I would say Democrats have the advantage though for sure, as Harris won it by 7 points. And then in Georgia, I would say Georgia is a true toss-up. Let me fill in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is going to be, I'm going to put New Hampshire as lean blue because Harris won it by 2. I would say there's a good shot of the Senate candidate there winning it by 2. That just makes sense. I don't see the New Hampshire candidate losing, but New Hampshire Democrat losing, but Georgia is the true toss-up, right? So if they pick a good candidate, then it's for sure possible that Republicans could win. Jon Ossoff seems relatively popular. I would say Raphael Warnock has a higher chance of winning than Ossoff does. So I would say whichever way you look at this, right? I would say Democrats could keep their seat in Georgia, and you would end up with a situation of Democrats flip one seat in the Senate, Maine, and then nothing else happens. Republicans maintain the majority. Or Republicans flip a seat in Georgia, Democrats flip a seat in Maine, and it just stays the same. Nothing else really happens. Republicans keep their majority. I would say this is a slightly more likely scenario where Republicans win in Georgia because Trump won in Georgia by 2.2, I think. But either thing is possible. I'm going to leave it like this because I think this is a little bit more likely. But yeah, what I'm getting at with this is there is literally no chance of Democrats winning the Senate. Like, I'm going to show you the scenario where Democrats win the Senate and show you how preposterous it is, right? So Democrats have to win the states of Michigan, Maine, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Georgia, also Ohio and Florida. So basically they need to hope that Mike DeWine and Ron DeSantis both pick literal sewer rats as their Senate candidates. And both of those sewer rats decide to run for re-election, and both of them lose to Democrats. They also need to hope that Tom Tillis gets way less popular, and that Jon Ossoff gets way more popular. That's the only hope for Democrats in 2026. What will more likely happen is Republicans will win Ohio, and Florida, and North Carolina, and then I would say that Georgia's a toss-up. I'm going to give it to Republicans right now by a hair, but it's going to be really close. And yeah, I mean, this is the map. This is the map, right? 2028 will be a lot more competitive because it's an election year, and there's always more turnout on election years than midterm years. But, I mean, this is the general idea of it, right? Like, there's not really any realistic scenario where Democrats win the Senate this term. I mean, what I just showed you, where Democrats win North Carolina, Ohio, Georgia, and Florida, That's as likely as Republicans winning those states, plus the states of Virginia, Michigan, New Hampshire, Maine, Minnesota, New Mexico, and New Jersey, and getting their 60 vote majority. Because, like, think about it, right? Florida and Ohio are both likely red. So if you give the likely red states to Democrats and say this is how they win the Senate, then you give the likely blue states to Republicans, and boom, now you've got a 60 vote majority that goes past the filibuster. So I mean, I think the best chance that Democrats have, or the best chance that Republicans have, of improving their majority in the Senate would definitely be through Michigan. One sec. Yeah, it'd definitely be through Michigan, but I don't really see them winning in many other places outside of there. Let's see, what did I screw up? I feel like I screwed up something. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, like they could win Michigan for sure. I could see that happening, but I don't like this could happen, and as could this could happen. Although I think Democrats have the advantage in Michigan, Republicans have the advantage in Georgia, but it's slim, right? It's not going to be a, oh my goodness, Democrats won Michigan by 11 points. That's not going to happen. But Democrats could win Michigan by 1. Republicans could win Georgia by 1. Either way, it would not be that surprising. But anyway, this is my prediction for the Senate. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I would say that the majority will be Republicans. I would bet a good deal of money on that. The individual seats could be wrong for sure. Susan Collins could win her seat in Maine. The Republican senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis, could lose his reelection. But generally, the majority is going to stay the same, at least in my opinion. Yeah, just hope you liked the video. If you would like to consider subscribing, please do. It helps out the channel quite a bit. It helps me know that you guys are enjoying my videos. And comment down below if there's anything you disagree with. I'd like to have a, informed debate. You know what I mean? I like having debates with you guys in the comments. Anyway, see y'all later. Bye.